How's it going, everybody? Thank you very much for watching. I'm Orlando Ruiz Jr., and welcome to another classic movie review. So this is my review of a film that came out in 1940, directed by Garson Kanin, that stars Cary Grant as Nick Arden in My Favorite Wife. This is a very, very funny 1940s comedy that co-stars Irene Dunn and Gail Patrick. Now, the character of Cary Grant, Nick Arden, is a lawyer. At the beginning of the film, the very opening, he is trying to argue that his wife is should be declared legally dead because he wants to marry Gail Patrick's character, Bianca. And Irene Dunn, who plays his first wife, she's supposed to be lost at sea, presumably dead for the last 7 years. In the very same opening scene, just after the judge declares Nick's first wife legally dead, Nick and his current fiancée, played by Gail Patrick in the role of Bianca, they both ask to be married right then and there. And so the judge does marry them, and they end up at a hotel. They go to the elevator, and just as the elevator door is closing, he sees her. He sees Ellen, played by Irene Dunn, and turns out she has been alive all this time. And at first, he's not sure if what he saw was real. He's having a little trouble believing it at first. And then, of course, he ends up seeing her again, and he ends up getting her a room in the very same motel. So lots of, of course, hijinks and comedic situations ensue after this initial beginning. And of course, it's really hard for him to just flat out tell his new wife, my first wife is actually still alive. And so the whole movie, he walks this line of, is he going to tell her? What's he going to do? Who's he going to pick? Which one's his favorite wife? Hence the title, My Favorite Wife. I've always loved Cary Grant and everything I've ever seen him in. It doesn't matter what, if it was Philadelphia Story, North by Northwest, Charade, To Catch a Thief. Everything I've ever seen him in, Notorious, is always a real joy. Not to mention Bringing Up Baby. And he's one of those actors that could do it all, whether it was a great thriller or a great comedy. His comedic timing is impeccable, his line delivery, and he was just such a class act as a leading man. And he's a joy to watch in this movie. And Irene Dunn as Ellen is also really delightful in her performance. I think that some of her scenes, especially when she comes across their children, are really heartfelt because the children don't remember her. They were babies. They were infants. The oldest one was pretty small, so when he comes across her and sees her, he doesn't know who she is, and of course, she can't tell them right away. And the scenes with her and the children are very, very heartfelt. And of course, it can't be simple because the movie does throw more than one or two curveballs at you throughout the runtime. It turns out that Ellen wasn't at the island alone. She happened to be there with another man. And so, of course, when Cary Grant finds this out, it sort of creates a little problem for him. And it's pretty funny when she ends up trying to convince him. She wants to convince him that nothing happened between her and this other guy, even though he's been busy on his own without her around. But there's a great scene where she tries to introduce somebody as this man, trying to pose him as this man, even though the real guy is somewhat a little taller, got some more hair on his head, and there's some really great surprises to be had. For anyone that watches a lot of romantic comedies, might find this formula of the will they or won't they tad predictable, but because it's done so well in terms of the pacing, the writing, of course, very on-spot directing, and some pretty snappy editing, this movie is a joy to watch, and this is something that I recommend anybody that enjoys a good romantic comedy, or just, to see Cary Grant in all his prime and all his comedic glory. Gail Patrick also does a really great job in the role of Bianca as sort of the third wheel. She is kind of sympathetic, and you kind of feel for her because she just married this man. They are on their honeymoon, and she can't get a moment's peace with him. Every time she tries to talk to him or tries to get him to stick around a little bit, he's always running out the door, always has these crazy explanations, and they're constantly at odds pretty much because he has something tugging him towards another direction, obviously. um, Alan, who just came back into the picture. And so I do kind of feel for Gail Patrick's character. And she does a good job at playing it straight and being more sympathetic and not so much of a sort of a problem as most of these types of stories um, tend to depict the third wheel. So yeah, they do make her feel like a real person. Yet you really do see that he is really leaning towards one more than the other as the film reaches its third act. And so in that sense, it can be a tad predictable, but it's still a really fun watch nonetheless. So for anyone that enjoys a good classic romantic comedy, you should definitely check this out. I give this film 3 stars, and it is a must-see Cary Grant comedy. This is one of those films that's going to be a little hard to find because it is one of those old classic movies that isn't as popular as maybe Gone with the Wind or Casablanca or something like that. But if you do have something like HBO Max, they do have a section for Turner Classic Movies. I think I've seen this pop up on there once or twice. But I had to get my own copy after seeing this film because I enjoyed it so much. So this is my DVD copy of My Favorite Wife. There is Cary Grant and Irene Dunn on the cover. And yeah, the two of them are great together in the film. And yeah, definitely a Cary Grant must watch. So that's going to do it for this classic movie review. Thank you very much for checking this out. And if you are into this kind of thing, please hit that bell for notifications on more classic movie reviews. Please comment, share, like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and please look out for the next one. Hope you have a great day and take care of yourself. Peace out.